Yu-Gi-Oh! Is an amazing game. If you're listening to this, I probably don't have to tell you that. But in a game with over 10,000 unique pieces, it can run into a small issue. For example, if you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In any serious capacity, most of the time, only a few decks are truly viable for play, with a few exceptions. Add to that a lack of support for alternate formats, and you might be wishing for things to be a bit different. Maybe you don't like the current advanced meta. Almost everyone who has played has had that one deck in mind. The deck that just can't stand up to the power of the metagame, no matter how much they want to play it. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be that way? What if I told you that there was a format that allows Jank and Rogue decks to completely flourish? That allows your pet deck to find a home where it can be truly playable? You might be wondering how I can make such a claim. Is this just another attempt at a custom ban list to fix the game? Well, yes, but the ban list is so extensive that it creates a completely redefined format, and it's pretty simple too. It operates off of a simple single rule. If it has ever topped a major event, it's banned. Guys, gals, and NB pals, allow me to introduce you to Rogue's format. So what exactly is Rogue's format? Well, it's what I just said. If it's topped, it's banned. And while that's a very pretty tagline, it doesn't explain the depth of what that means. So, while it's a great comprehensive expression, it might be useful to actually analyze what is banned and isn't banned, so that you can be a little more satisfied with the answer, or just if you're curious. If it has ever topped a YCS, NATS, Remote Duel Extravaganza, or SJC, it's gone. There are also some other lesser known events that I will be showing on the screen now, but there was a problem. Yeah, as it turns out, having the world end for 2 years is not good for going to YCSs, and while YCSs weren't happening, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was still evolving. Decks like VW, Eldritch, Infernoble, Emancipator, they were perfectly legal in a format where people were trying to break pacifists and digital bugs. This was a massive issue and it killed the format. And if it wasn't for yours truly, we might still be in that dark age. However, I came up with a solution. We just had to turn to the dark side. Yeah. As a provisional measure, we decided that MBT Yu-Gi-Oh's Chalice Line Monthly would be the replacement tournament to base everything off of. And the Chalice Line Monthly didn't go far back, so we needed to add some Quarantine series in there as well. Sorry. Frankly, we won't be using these from now on because a tournament that lets fucking Skull Servant top is probably enough to say, alright, I'm good. Jokes aside, the real reason is that we're getting consistent YCSs again, but that 2-year gap was definitely significant. Speaking of, you might have noticed that I didn't mention a certain type of tournament. Where's the regionals? Frankly, the ease of topping regional is such that some real garbage has made it, honestly, and we like having real garbage in our format. So we elected to make that the cutoff for the power level a tournament has to be at to be considered for banning. So yeah, Battery Man away. More power to ya.
Get off the stage.
Okay. Either way, that's pretty much all there is to it. We're playing typical advanced past this point. However, I will be adding a public Discord link in the description for anyone who wants to join just from watching this video. I have done hours of testing of this format with friends, and we've made some really cool stuff in the past. So cool, in fact, that the back half of this video is just deck submissions for an exhibition tournament we're running. It's going to be commentated by me, it's going to be commentated by the format's original developer. It's going to be really cool. We're going to go all over the replays and just play out how the tournament's going to go. It'll all be in one neat package, and I'd really love if you guys would go check that out after this video, because you will probably actually enjoy seeing the gameplay on its own. Thanks for watching this though, and I hope your interest has been piqued in our format. I really love this. I think it's a great format, and I really want to get more people in on it. Either way, if you feel ready to put your face on the wall of the Rogues Gallery, feel free. Join today. Hello there, welcome to the back half of this whole introduction video. And this right here is probably one of the coolest ways for us to start out. This is Sozetta's Armed Dragon list. It's Armed Dragon Thunder specifically, but this deck has a lot of cool stuff going for it. Dragoonity Armagram is just a dragon ruler that doesn't do dragon ruler things. It's just a guy. The Armed Dragons are obviously very good. You might be wondering why we're seeing Armed Dragon Flash, if you remember back in the day when Dragon Link was experimenting with this card. But back in the day, Dragon Link experimenting with this card lost. So we actually didn't get a major top for this. In my opinion, for the better. I think that having a quick launch in this format is actually really funny. We also have a bunch of the Gaia stuff, Bombarding Catapult Turtle, Curse of Dragon, the Cursed Dragon, the Gaia Fusions, the Spiral Fusion, just a bunch of actually really strong stuff. The Gaia stuff definitely has me scared, but other than that, I think that this deck is just really cool and functional. Here is a deck that I believe Catistically Awesome made. This is Monkey Flip, but more accurately, this is Tindangle Crawler. Don't mind the Summoner of Illusion. We found out that this card is actually legal. I don't know why it's on the ban list. We're trying to fix the ban list as much as we can, but, you know, occasionally stuff slips through. There was an older version of this list that just didn't work correctly. Either way, this shows off a couple interesting format staples like Warning Point, which I don't feel like is going to be long for this world. Eventually someone like Pack is going to go, woohoo, I topped with a 3 structure decks, you know, and Warning Point is in a lot of those, so. Dice Foon is here as well. This is honestly premier spell and trap removal now that Night Beam has been found to not be legal. We might have to do something about that in the future, but for now I think that Dice Foon being MST is really funny. Sol and Luna is an interesting card that we get to see nowadays. I hope it gets to actually, you know, seek use. Either way, I think this deck is cool. You know, normal summon Spirit of the Fallwind, tutor your entire deck is definitely interesting. And Jirelth is just a ridiculous card that you just play in Crawler anyway. Oh yeah, and the field spells are insane. Pendulum! Sofa Chord is an interesting pick. I think it's probably one of the more functional actual archetypal pendulums we have. It's fairly recent, and Sofa Chord Elegance is bonkers. I don't know if you've read this card, but this card is a little insane. Not too much to say here. It's just Pendulum, baby. Pendulum Treasure is like a funny tech that you don't get to see much. Yeah, just a cool deck. Cool, interesting cards. Here's another new deck, Dinorphia. I don't know that this deck is good. I've seen it a couple times in testing, and it hasn't impressed me. But, however, it is entirely possible that this deck is actually good. I guess we're about to find out in the tournament. Either way, it looks sweet. Like, look at the trap cards we still get to play. 3 Bad Aim, 3 Titanocider. I don't know that I would play 3, but, you know, we do get Titanocider in this format. And just a bunch of great cards. I mean, Warning Point. I mean, like, even Ferret Flames is not a bad card. And, like, even looking in the side deck, we have a Temporary Gozen with Battle of the Elements, Apex Predation, Network Trap Hole. There is a lot of, like, really amazing cards in this format in terms of trap cards and their interactions. Here's Cocoa Bird on UA. Name a more iconic duo, but I don't think it's going to be as dominant as it was in Chaos Draft. P.S. I do Chaos Draft. You really should check that out if you have the chance. I don't know that all of this is legal, like a Hyper Stadium, but if it is, this looks not bad. This looks okay. You can see another staple in Guan Yun, and the Gradles are somewhat legal, so that's cool. Here's Slapstick on Nephthys, I don't know why either, but I've always heard that Nephthys was always like one card away from getting there, and, well, I mean, we don't have that one card in this format, but what we do have is a much lower power format where Nephthys may be able to thrive anyway. Plus, Conductor will always be an insane card. Now, this is based. This is a Rad Goats Reptile deck. This deck is so cool. This deck is so cool. This is what I wanted to like accomplish when I set out to make this format. I wanted to see a format where Ogdoadic and Alien could like get their time in the sun, and I really think it can be done with this deck. Snake Rain will always be an insane card. Ogdoadic Water Lily is insane. And, you know, just even some of these cards individually. Have you read Stealth Buster? This card is actually not bad at all. Overall, I hope that this deck actually gets to see some success. Again, I think Golgar is legal. I don't know what would have topped with Golgar, so I imagine it's legal. Either way, very cool deck. And finally, what I will be bringing to the tournament. This deck is not lasting long. Have you noticed that Live Twin has not topped yet? It's gotten real close, but it has not fully topped. It would have topped if we counted the April 2022 Chalice Slime Monthly, but one, I wanted to show this deck off because it's cool, and two, no. In general, there's a lot of reasons that this is still allowed in the format, but while it is, I'm playing 12 starters in a format with 0 hand traps. Cool. Besides that, though, this deck actually does some really cool stuff. This is one of the few decks that can appropriately link climb, and as it turns out, you can use Live Twins for things other than Live Twin lines, like a Cyberse Witch. If you've never read this card is very funny. I highly recommend checking it out. It's what the other half of this deck is built on. There is definitely a Cyberse ritual engine in here, so it's not all for nothing. Either way, I'd like to talk more about this deck in the future, but until then, these are the decks we are going to be entering with. So the tournament will be running very shortly. In terms of you guys seeing it, you'll see it very soon, but this is just a quick overview of the format and some of the decks that can be played. So, wish me luck in the tournament. And if this has piqued your interest at all, if any of these decks have seemed cool to play, if this format just seems interesting to you, feel free to come on, hang out, and come by, you know? I'd really love to have some more people in this community. I'd love to get this thing going public, and I'd love to share this format that we've created with the world. Alright, until next time, I'll see you next video. Good night, YouTube.